think that's like, do you think most girls benefit from like having that party girl phase?
Maybe a little bit, because I feel like as for guys as well, you know, you go through that stage where you just want to go out, get as many girls and that.
Sure.
And it is, I think that's just like the young, it's just where you're so young, all your hormones, you don't know what you're doing, do you?
Yeah,
So I feel like
100%.
it's the same for girls in that sense, but I feel like girls are more or less likely to sleep with someone straight away. Like if it was a guy that goes to you, oh yeah, like would you? They might be like, right, yeah, but a girl wouldn't come up to you and go, yeah, do you want to come back to mine?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say beneficial. I just think if you want to go and experience that, go and do that. I personally not that type of person anyway. Yeah, I'll go out and have a bit of fun, like a few drinks, but I wouldn't go to anyone and be like, oh yeah, no, come back to mine, you know.
Yeah.
But then I know there is girls who do. They go out purposely for that.
Yeah.
You
so
know?
true. Yeah.
And all right, got your needs, but like, yeah, I feel it depends what type of person you are and what your goal is. You know what I mean? Like,
I think you're right.
What are you getting out? What are you getting out of it? You know, if you're trying to find something out of it, you're probably not. Like, but if you just want a bit of fun, sort of just get that little buzz, then yeah, go for it. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's like beneficial in that sense.
Just very explorative. Just very. It's one of those things where I think I agree. You can find out what you want and what works for you.
Yeah.
I think there's more risk to it than we led on, especially for women. I think, you know, if you're engaging casually with guys that you don't really know, there's kind of more risk to her own safety. But there's also kind of risk for her to use that as a coping mechanism for something. And the reason I say that is because I've talked to quite a few women where I ask like what they feel about this kind of casual, like really fun phase and stuff. And I think indulging in it for a bit, like a phase, is cool. But those who do it over an extended period of time, it's like they're using sex to feel loved instead of using love to have sex. And if that's the habit in which you engage in this kind of behavior, when you meet a guy who wants to give you love and sex, it's going to feel so alien to you, you might reject it. And that happens a lot.
It's because of fear. They're like, well, I don't, you know, they're like, yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember there was somebody who I dated, and it kind of got serious at one point.
Yeah.
But, you know, I dated for a little bit and she was very much kind of in that phase. I say dated, like we were having fun. And then we were like, oh, maybe there's actually something here.
Yeah.
And then there was like one time where, like, you know, being physical and stuff, but it wasn't just a lustful thing. It was a very much like an emotional thing.
Right.
And she just started crying. Like she just started crying. And it was just like, I was like, well, I was like, you okay? Like, what's up? She's like, you know, and I was like, look, let's stop. Like, it's okay. It's calm. We don't have to, you know, do this. We can just chill. And then she ended up leaving that day. And then when I talked to her after, and we carried on, like, seeing each other for a bit, but she was just like, I just got really emotional because I just realized, like, I really like you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that was the first time that we actually engaged in, like, intimacy in sex. Before it had just been like a lustful thing. And that was the space we were both in at the time.
Yeah.
But then for her to kind of revisit the intimacy thing, there's such a level of vulnerability that I think for her to engage in casual sex for how long she had, she just kind of cut that side off from herself, from this physical act. And so while I don't think it's necessarily bad for women to do this, but I think if you are going to do that, I think go in doing it, understanding why you're doing it, and then, you know, it's really understanding why you're doing it, to be honest. And then I think, this is my biased opinion, I don't think it should be a habit over a long term, because I think for some women, there are exceptions to every rule, it's fine. Yeah. But I think for most that I've seen and talked to, like it becomes, the longer they stay in it, the more it becomes a detriment to them, not like a positive thing. Do you know what I mean? And I'd even say that for guys, but for different reasons. Okay. I think for guys, why they shouldn't only indulge in that, especially for a long period of time, is because they can develop a bad appetite for different women, and that makes it very difficult to commit to one woman long term.
Okay. What like point would you go? Like, so you're seeing a girl. Have you ever been in a situation where you're seeing a girl, you go like, yeah, actually, I really want to date you. What point would you go, yeah, okay, let's take this start to the next level?
It'd usually be something where I see how she is with my friends, or I see how she is at a moment where maybe I'm vulnerable.
Okay. Do you like to be vulnerable? Like, how's that feel?
It takes a lot. I think for most guys, it takes a lot of trust to be vulnerable with a girl, because a lot of guys have experienced it being used against them.
Right. Okay.
So like, you know, a guy I know, his dad wasn't in his life, walked out on him and his mum, and in the early dating stages of a girl he was seeing, he was like, he's like, yeah, like, they're like, what do your parents do? He's like, oh, my mum does this, but like my dad's not been in my life and stuff. And, I kind of felt that I didn't really have that masculine figure in my life to kind of show me what it means to be a man, etc. And I kind of had to find my own way. Fast forward like a month later, they get into an argument and stuff, something about him being a man. And she was like, well, yeah, it's probably because your father wasn't in your life. And he was like, wow. Okay. And then from that, I remember talking to him from that, and he was like, yeah, I'm never sharing that with a girl. Like saying that to a girl again. I was like, bro, it took a while, but I was like, honestly, man, that's a reflection on her, not you.
100%.
I promise. But it takes a lot of trust, I think. The deeper it is, the more trust it takes. And the thing is, especially because if I'm being honest, there aren't always that many spaces for guys to share that level of vulnerability publicly.
Oh, no.
Do you know what I mean?
It's tough for guys.
Well, it can be, for sure. I think within the boys, I think it's definitely easier behind closed doors. But yeah, and so to have a woman who can actually embrace that side of him, because the thing is, it's like, yeah, I get men do provide and protect women, but women protect men spiritually.
Oh, 100%.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so a guy being vulnerable with you and wouldn't be able to do that, that's her protecting him. That's her looking after his spirit.
Yeah.
And so for me, I'd have to say, okay, like, for example, like, I don't know if I should say it. I don't think I've ever shared this publicly. So with my girlfriend, I think I knew the moment I was like, nah, this is her. And it was when she'd come to a show. It was a premiere of something I was in. Yeah. Like something I was in. I won't say what, so people don't know. They don't know
it was
particularly
like, where's he on?
And there was a part in the film where we are singing about the person who had died. Yeah. And I had lost my dad recently at the time. Oh, sorry. And I appreciate that. And it was a cinema, we were just watching the film and stuff. Yeah. She was next to me. But a lot of the words were resonating with me. And so I did shed like a couple of tears and stuff, and I wasn't moving, but it was very dark. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I can have this moment by myself. No one knows. And then I was good. And then I was meeting with a business partner that evening, and then my phone rang and it was her, and I answered. I was like, hey, you're right. Yeah. She was like, look, I just wanted to check in on you. I was like, yeah, I'm good. You all right? I was like, what happened? She was like, no, like I just know, there was a bit of a moment in the cinema and stuff, and I just wanted to let you have that. But, I know you're with your business partner, but I just wanted to check that you're okay. And I was like, fuck. I was like, I've never had a girl be like that ever with me, ever. So I was like, nah, do you know what I mean? Yeah. And there was one other moment where she kind of, and I don't want to make it about this, but she asked my mum, she was like, this is quite early on, but they were at an event together for me. And she was like, how can I best support and serve Kit for what he needs to do? And I was like, I've never ever had a girl like that for me, ever.
That's amazing.
So I was just like, at that point, it was like,
yep,
it is what it is, boy. Anyone else I was talking to, I was like, I'm sorry. It is what it is. Later. Do you know what I mean? And the future's never guaranteed and stuff, but I'm just being honest. That's kind of when I was like, yeah, Do you know what I mean? And it wasn't when I had the best sex.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, I don't know, when I could say bought something, but it wasn't in the moments that I think women think about. Yeah. Like, who gives him the best sex, or which girl looks the best? Like, she walked out and he was just like, wow, she looks incredible.
Yeah.
It's in the moments that, honestly, dare I say, it's probably the most subtle thing about men. Like, we don't get subtlety a lot of the time.
Yeah.
But a girl who can look after a man's spirit, man, that's so invaluable to him.
It is. Sure. It's so pure, and like, it is rare in a sense. Like, if you've got that special sort of like someone who can make you feel like, when you're in your vulnerable, when you feel like, oh my gosh, because as a guy, like, you've got a lot of pride and ego, and you don't want
that we do. That we do.
You do. Like, you don't want, like, you know, someone to like come in and like, you know, make you feel like shit, like, or small or anything. You're like, no, who are you? Like, I'm fine. What are you doing? But yeah, but that is so sweet to hear, because, you know, it is hard, I think, for guys as well. Like, when you do have them little moments to yourself where you do need that little cry, because guys cry, men do cry.
Apparently, that's the only time I've ever cried, guys, ever.
All right.
Not even when I was a baby. When I came out, I wasn't even crying. I was just like, I'm here.
What's up?
I'm here. That's it.
What's happening?
No, it's true. And especially because, like, very much, at least for my relationship, she would say this, she's very much the emotional waves of the relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm the one kind of calming her down, or like essentially being the mountain she can crash her waves into. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, and I've had before where, you know, that's part of how at least maybe how a lot of men show love, is providing that emotional stability for the woman. Do you know what I mean? 100%. I love doing that. But I think sometimes, because those vulnerable moments for him don't happen often, I think for some women, when it does happen, they don't know how to deal with it. No. Or they're like, what is this? Like, I don't understand. Like, are you still, do you know what I mean? But yeah, and you know, I had a lot of stuff on my plate because I'm the eldest, so I took a lot of responsibility from like my family and my dad passing all this stuff. But yeah, man. So yeah, in answer to your question, long-winded way, but that's one thing I would say. What's something else you want to?
Well, thanks for showing that. That's quite big, you know what I mean?
I know. I can't believe it, guys. How have I done that? Maybe I should delete this episode while I still can.
Hope you really enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full episode where that clip is from, then I want you to click right here where you can watch the full episode. And if you're ready to claim your man today, enroll in my program below, and I'll see you there. Wishing you an amazing day.